Hey friends, back in the Old Testament again. I'm reading from the prophet Micah, and I'm also reading from the Jewish Publication Society Bible, published 1955. The prophet Isaiah lived at approximately 500 years BCE, before Christ, before the time of Yeshua. And the words that he wrote, that he heard from God in chapter 5, in the beginning of the chapter, it reads like this. It's a very famous, well-known prophecy of the Messiah. It says, "But thou, Bethlehem, or Bethlehem, Ephratah, which art little to be among the thousands of Judah, one of these shall come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth are from of old, from ancient days." Now, what's interesting about this prophecy is that it was even understood in the first century and prior that this was a messianic prophecy, that the Messiah would actually come from Bethlehem, or Bethlehem in Hebrew, house of bread. And let's take a look at some of the Hebrew words that are used here. It says, whose goings forth are from of old. That word there, mikedem, is also translated as ancient or from antiquity. And from ancient days, me yom olam, which actually means without end or perpetual, meaning that this person who was to be born in Bethlehem would be someone who was there from the very beginning and would be perpetual, would remain from time immemorial, so to speak, ever present from the beginning of the world without end. Now, whether you believe it or not, the story of Yeshua or Jesus is, of course, just that, born in Bethlehem. The Ephratah part is the province, and right adjacent to the now Palestinian-controlled city of Bethlehem is the city of Ephrat, or Ephratah. So it is that same exact city that is now in existence that all Christian tourists go to see the supposed Church of the Nativity, or the birthplace of Yeshua. It's funny that since it's Palestinian controlled and there's no Jewish people in there, it'd be pretty difficult for the Messiah to be born in Bethlehem now. It would take an act of God, so to speak, for that to happen. But it was different, of course, 2,000 years ago. This was the city of David. It is where David was born. An interesting thing that I want to talk about is that the Jewish people in the first century, not only did they understand that the Messiah would come from Bethlehem, but there's a quote in the New Testament, in the book of Matthew. It says, this is the high priest addressing Yeshua, and he says, "Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." So not only was it understood that the Messiah was to be born in Bethlehem, it was also understood that there would be some connection to the deity. It was common in the first century and even prior. That was the understanding of the rabbis. It has, of course, now been watered down to where, like the Muslims believe, that God cannot have a son, that, of course, Jewish people today believe the same. Yet, several thousand years ago and before, they understood that to be the case. So, just a little short description of that prophecy from the prophet Micah, written 500 years before the coming of Yeshua. I'll leave you with that thought. I'll see you again next time. Have a great day.